The symbolism of the burning heart of Christ. Now, let's acknowledge, I'm not an expert. I haven't studied this in detailed depth, but just to give you a rough idea of what it is about. So very often you have these depictions of Jesus Christ with the heart visible, even like the shape of the physical heart, not some cute I like you heart, but like the physical shape of the heart, within the center of the chest with rays coming out, typically with a little flame on top, also very often with a little cross and with the crown of thorns around the heart. Typically also he's pointing to the heart and pointing up in these images, but not always. First things first, that we are insisting so much on the heart when we talk about Christ is because his whole mission on this planet is a mission of the heart, a mission of the soul. He is the, let's say, expression of what we refer to in Tantra, the reflection of the prakasha, the uncreated light, or what we would call in Christianity the Godhead, the God the Father, reflected into the akasha, into the space of creation, into even the individualized experience. So the God the Father mirrored, as we would call it in Christianity, into the Son, the very person of Jesus Christ, or the very being of Jesus Christ, better to say. So the heart, we also know in the Kundalini Yoga tradition, for example, is directly linked to the crown. And this specific reflection within the being is symbolized by Christ. The crown, God the Father, reflected into the Son, into the individualized soul, Christ in this case. So the whole thing with Christ is about the heart. Also, love your neighbor, forgive, let go of all your grudges, and become free by freeing your heart. So therefore, center point on the heart, also the chakra that is very interesting for Christians is typically the heart. We have the prayer of the heart, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy upon me. So all of this refers to the heart chakra, and we have the specific pointing within that tradition in that way. The symbolism around the heart now is, first of all, the heart is in flames. This is an interesting symbolism, often linked to the most horrible, as they would put it, deadly sin in the Christian tradition. Maybe you know about these sometimes 7 deadly sins, 9 deadly sins that you shouldn't fall prey of. But the worst of the worst of the worst, and sometimes considered the mother of all the other horrible sins, is the laziness of the heart. When the heart is numb, when the heart is lazy, when it's passive, when it is uninspired, then the human being will tend to go for all its lower expressions, fall for all sorts of desires and vices and so forth. Therefore, we have the symbolism of the burning heart. The heart needs to be alive, on fire, dynamic. All the impurities are consumed within this flame of the burning heart. And then lastly, we have this classic symbolism of the cross and the crown of thorns, which refers back to how did Jesus become the Christ? How did the person that was born and that walked on the planet and that pooped his diapers in the beginning and lived well, not a normal life, but lived as a born being on this planet, how did he become the Christ? Of course, through the crucifixion and then the resurrection afterwards, which is this symbolized by these 2 aspects, the thorny crown and the cross. Also giving an interesting perspective that you need to crucify yourself in order to become free, in order to elevate into that consciousness of the crown that we are also much searching for. Also, again, the symbolism, Christ is pointing to the heart and pointing up. Again, this connection between the highest and the heart. But the heart is not awakened in a fluffy manner. Not everybody has to get crucified, absolutely not. We have lots of Indian saints that get praised and have rose petals thrown on them, but they will crucify themselves in whatever way needed for their specific mission. Like Ramakrishna, who sat in front of the statue of Kali for 12 years praying to her, and he was in so much agony that he wasn't enlightened yet, that he would take her sword and was about to take his life. He was suffering so much that then finally he achieved liberation. Or Ramana Maharishi, who, even though praised and beloved and so forth, was sitting for many, many years in a basement being eaten up by ants and carrying scars all over his body. The point is, you cannot completely dynamize the heart, burn all inferior aspects, become utterly awakened and dynamic within your soul without the sacrifice that it needs. And in case of Christ, that sacrifice was done quite heavily, and not just on his own behalf, but on behalf of everybody else as well, in the fashion that we know, with the crucifixion and all the ridicule also that went along with it, including wearing that gnarly crown of thorns. From a religious science perspective, it's even more boring. It's just like, yeah, it stands for his crown of thorns. Yeah, great, and now what? But the crown of thorns, of course, stands for the suffering that you need to go through in order to liberate. Hey guys, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content on spirituality, Tantra, and more.
And if you want to sign up for our online classes or for our retreats, you can see our website on the description below.